My name is Evan Jordan. I am a young advocate with Young Invincibles and I'm 24 years old.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Ordaz. I am 25 years old and I am part of the Young Advisory Board for the Texas cohort.
Hello, my name is Perla Ortiz. I am 21 years old. I am a young advocate with Young Invincibles in Texas, and I am currently attending St. Edward's University.
Hi, my name is Greg Norwood. I currently serve on the Youth Advisory Board for Young Invincibles, a national nonprofit that seeks to amplify the voice of young adults in the political process. And I currently attend University of Houston, where I major in political science and minor in African American history.
Personally, for me, my greatest challenge navigating the student loan process is just getting the information that I need. There's seems to be no central resource, um, no really good source of information for me to just find out everything I need to find out, um, whether it's payment plans or um, how I request forbearance through my AmeriCorps program. There's just nothing centralized to be able to give me that information in one place.
Definitely, we're in the middle of something that's so unprecedented and something that we're all having to deal with for the first time ever. Um, so it's definitely really impacted my student loan debt because the future is very uncertain. With the job market being the way it is and the economy being the way it is, it's something where I'm very unsure of what's going to happen, even with my student loan debt, whether it's going to be following me for longer because I don't have a job, or I'm going to have to default, or anything like that is going to ruin my credit. So that's definitely something that the pandemic and economic situation is putting a stress on.
Whew. Because the pandemic occurred earlier this year, I have had extra expenses. And I have, reached out to the student relief fund that my school set up. However, the expenses surpassed the aid that I received, and I found myself struggling to make ends meet. Where there were days where I didn't have food, or I was, struggling to like eat more than one meal a day. Um, this coming semester, fall 2020, is already proving to be challenging.
I think the greatest challenge is being a first gen and not really understanding the student loan process and not understanding specifically the student loan repayment process, which is most important. If I knew then what I know now about student loan repayment and student loan options, I would have been very, very more careful. I would have been very careful and more intentional about what I chose, how much I was choosing to take, and all that good stuff. But my parents did not go to college. My grandparents didn't go to college. My great grandparents did not go to college. And so to have to do this relatively by myself has certainly been a challenge, and especially now bearing some of the consequences that I made, some of the consequences of the decisions that I made early on in my collegiate career has certainly been a challenge.
I think the greatest challenge, especially for me, who I am as well, a first generation student, college student, was the lack of knowledge, the lack of understanding about the resources or where to go, who to talk to. A lot of times I felt like I was on my own. I didn't really know where to go for this, and unfortunately, there isn't enough help.
Interest rates. I know that the loan providers are usually private, and they have the freedom and the ability to charge like crazy amounts of interest rates for the loans that they provide um, over the time necessary. And I definitely do not believe that they should have that freedom, that power, because um, so many people's debts just increase after that.
My experience with student loans is limiting. Uh, it limits where and how I can live. It limits how I spend my time.
I think I have to be very conscious of where I choose to go in the future. That I will be attending law school, but I know I cannot go to any law school. That I cannot look at a school for a school. I have to look at it for the way in which I can afford it, and that is a challenge. But even thinking beyond the collegiate experience, getting into the workforce, there are some jobs that I would love to work that I know I just cannot work because post graduation I'll be straddled with this debt.
Just completely eradicate it. We should not be lending money for people to go to school, for students to go to school. It should be free. But if that is not a feasible option, then we need to make sure to provide very, very low to no interest rates to students, and making sure we're able to lend to students regardless of their credit. I know there's so many students out there who don't have any credit or who don't have parents to sign them on, and this is the only way for them to get funds for school, and they are completely just not taken into account for because they don't have that credit or anybody else to back them up with that credit for those loans. And I think that really bars a lot of people from entering into higher education.
Have student loans prevented you from doing? Resting, having the assurance that I will actually be able to succeed and being a family of immigrants, fulfill the American dream of having a profession, of having an education, of not owing anyone anything to the point where I feel like I owe them my life.